Hello everyone and welcome to my summary of Out of the Silent Planet by C.S. Lewis. Out of the Silent Planet is an interesting book because it flips the script when it comes to sci-fi novels. For starters, in most sci-fi novels, aliens are generally depicted as scary and mysterious as they visit planet Earth. They may be trying to take over the planet to harvest resources from Earth, or dissect humans for their own purposes. But this is not the case in Out of the Silent Planet. Rather, you are forced to face the real monsters in the universe: humans. Humans take on the role of the alien invaders, and humans are the ones who want to harvest the resources of another planet and take over the native population. Some key ideas about Lewis's philosophy emerge while reading the book, but it takes a bit of reading between the lines to find it. Don't worry, we will get there, but first we need to summarize the plot of the book. It starts with a man named Ransom who finds himself being kidnapped by two men named Weston and Divine. They take him to space against his will, and for not so great reasons. As far as Weston and Divine know, they are going to be handing Ransom over to some aliens for what they think could be a human sacrifice. They really aren't sure because they can't communicate with the aliens. All they know is the aliens want to take a single human with them. The aliens reside on a planet called Malacandra, which will later be revealed to be the planet Mars. The three men arrive on Malacandra, and Ransom decides he needs to make an escape. The aliens, known as Sorns, show up to pick up Ransom, but a bit of commotion allows for Ransom to flee into the alien wilderness. As he flees, he eventually bumps into a different kind of native alien known as Hross. These aliens don't look human at all, and the description is pretty repulsive. Ransom is afraid of the Hross at first, but eventually realizes this alien is not a rabid, bloodthirsty creature. Rather, it is civilized and tries to communicate with Ransom. Ransom is then brought in by these Hross, and he learns their language. Side note, Lewis is a huge nerd for language, and a good amount of the book focuses on Ransom learning the language. A key piece of the story starts to emerge while Ransom is with the Hross. He is always trying to figure out the social structures of the aliens. He sees the Hross as lower beings compared to the Sorns, who are humanoid in appearance. The Hross are fishermen and poets, but the Hross tell Ransom that the Sorns have higher knowledge of the universe and how things work. There's also a third race of aliens known as Pfuffeltrig, just to reference the screen, who are skilled builders. Ransom is always trying to ascertain who's in charge on this planet and why the higher beings aren't enslaving the lower ones. Take note of this because it's important to the meaning of the book. Another key being that should be mentioned here is the Eldil. They are basically immaterial, angel-like creatures that deliver messages. One of the Eldil tells Ransom he should go see the Oyarsa, who is the ruler of the planet. Divine and Weston then show up on the search for Ransom, and in the process they shoot one of the Hross. After this, the Hross urge Ransom to go to the Oyarsa, which he agrees to do. The journey takes a while, but he eventually arrives and has a conversation with the Oyarsa. I'm definitely going to get sick of saying that word. And here we learn a great deal about what has been going on throughout the book. The Oyarsa tells Ransom about the Maleldil, who is the ruler of the whole universe. Every planet has an Oyarsa who is in charge, but Maleldil is the head of them all. He also explains that Earth's Oyarsa, I can't keep saying this, is evil and does not comply with Maleldil. During this conversation and a few bits of exposition, Ransom begins to wonder if the aliens on this planet are actually superior to humans. Throughout the book, he seems to be studying the aliens and viewing them as inferior, but during this interaction, he learns that the humans may actually be the dumb ones. For example, humans enslave each other and wrong each other. Weston and Divine are only there to steal resources from the aliens. They murder anything that doesn't resemble a human, and they also have no qualms about sacrificing Ransom. He begins to realize that humans are the real monsters. The three different alien species with varying talents and skills live at peace with each other, whereas humans are one species and they can't figure out how to get along. He also realizes that he is no exception to the evil in humanity. He sees that he was projecting his own evil onto the aliens, and that is why he thought they should be enslaving each other, and why when he first saw them, he was afraid of them, because if they were anything like himself, they would have no issue with killing him. This is a key part of Lewis's purpose for writing this book. Earth is out of order because the inhabitants do not submit to Malaldil, who is, if you haven't figured it out by now, God. This is the great evil that causes all other evil in humanity. Because they have rejected Malaldil and have an evil Oyarsa, they live in disorder. While this little conversation is going on between Oyarsa and Ransom, Weston and Divine show up, and they try to intimidate the quote-unquote uncivilized savages into doing what they say. Weston threatens to take over the whole planet in order to make space for the humans to live there, and Divine is more interested in taking all the resources of the planet, primarily the sun's blood, which is gold. Weston seeks to make space for humanity on Mars so that when Earth is run down, there is a new place for the humans to flee to. He sees success for the species as a whole as his ends, and the means to get there are irrelevant. If he has to sacrifice Ransom and even himself to achieve this, he will. The ends justify the means. Divine does not share this sentiment. Rather, he is fueled by greed. In either instance, they are both evil, and the Oyarsa spend some time poking holes in their philosophy. After this little conversation, the Oyarsa commands them to leave the planet, and he helps them along the way. Ransom also decides to make the return trip home, even though it is very dangerous. Despite the danger, they do however make it home, and they all live happily ever after. Well, not really, but that's pretty much the end of the story. So, with the summary out of the way, let's recap the main points of the book that Lewis is trying to convey and how they tie into Lewis's theology and philosophy. The first major point is that humans are evil, and no one is an exception. Everyone on Earth is corrupted by the evil Oyarsa, and because of this, they do not submit to Malaldil. This is a clear homage to mankind's sinful nature. Even the quote-unquote good guy of the story realizes that he has a flawed worldview by how he interacts with others. He assumes others will be evil because he himself is evil. The second key point is submission to God. Submitting to God as the ruler of all things brings things that are out of order into order. Mars is full of life, but all live in harmony because they submit to God. The different intelligent species do not try to master one another because they themselves have a master. They also do not abuse the planet they live on. They do not needlessly harm the animals of the planet. Everything is in harmony because they submit to God. Contrast that to Earth and see how everyone treats each other, and how we treat beings that we see as lesser than us. Well guys, that's about it. I think I would give this book a 7 out of 10, mostly because the themes are good and the characters are all interesting and pretty believable. It was a fun read and the world building was done very well. If you like this video, feel free to check out my other summaries and subscribe for more content like this. And feel free to like while you're here as well. I will see you guys in the next one.